What is up, RotoGrinders? Welcome to GrindersLive, taking y'all straight up to DFS MLB lock tonight. I don't know why I'm saying tonight. It is the ungodly hour. It's 9:30 in the morning here, Mountain Time. Shout out Mountain Time. Shout out Colorado Springs. Myself and Blender were running it back yesterday. We did a morning show invading Blender's turf. This is when Blender normally does his show. This is when he's talking, doing the rewind and looking forward to the slate ahead. All that good stuff, yelling at the chat. And Blender, we brought in Chop. We'll talk to Chop in a second, but how are you doing today, Blender? All things good?
It was fine. It would have been better if Kyle Wright scored 2 less points yesterday. But other than that, everything's fine. It's a pretty quiet day. Not much weather issues going on in baseball. We only have like a 6-game slate and then like 2 night games and
Field of Dreams
early
game.
Day.
It's the Field of Dreams game going down tonight. I'm not sure if you're aware.
Oh, no, I'm not aware.
You saw the one last year with the White Sox and the Yankees, Tim Anderson at the walk-off into the corn?
Yeah, I saw it. It is what it is. Whatever. When do I watch? I barely watch baseball games as it is.
Yeah, but I mean, it was kind of a cool you've seen Field of Dreams, I presume?
Yeah, but now they're going to have to do it every year. Now it's not going to be special anymore. We
got to change. What are like alternative? Like where else can you where else can they do this at? That you
we have to do it like Street Fighter, like that every year it's like in a different. Like you have to go to the Chinese wet market where Chun-Li is, and then you go on the ship where Ken is, and then they do it like that. I think that would be more interesting.
So what is the baseball? Isn't there like you can go to the baseball?
No, they should do the baseball games like, and they find the arcade. Guile, right, is on the military base.
Why are you making this about Street Fighter? Just do it. Go to like member. You ever see Hardball? Like play a game where they played Hardball. They filmed the movie Hardball with Keanu Reeves.
Who cares about that movie?
Chopper.
Let's go to the place where they filmed Mr. 3000 or whatever. Wasn't that another crappy baseball movie?
Yeah, Summer Catch. That'd be amazing, though. It'd be hilarious. They filmed the movie. They played a game where they played Summer Catch, but they filmed that. That was a Freddie Prinze Jr. and who else? Who's the guy that's always linked to Freddie Prinze Jr.? The guy who played was in the Scooby-Doo movies. Chop, you know all this stuff.
Brendan Fraser?
No, Brendan Fraser.
No. Come on. You're just making things up, Blender. The redheaded guy. I know.
He was in the Scream movie.
Nobody knows his name.
Seth Green.
No.
The redheaded dude, Seth Green. Isn't that who you're talking
Blender,
about?
come on, man.
Dude, no, he was in the Scream movie, but there's
Summer Catch was a really good movie. I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Why can't I think
maybe they dust off the Astrodome because the Bad News Bears were in the Astrodome that one time. Maybe they dust off the Astrodome and go there one year.
Does that still exist?
I think it does.
They didn't implode that? I mean, that's been.
I don't think so. You'd have to Google it. Matthew Lillard. That's who we're talking
there
about.
There it is. Yeah, Matthew Lillard. He's always he's always what's with Freddie Prinze Jr. movies. The Astrodome's got to be gone, Chop.
I don't know, man. You'd have to Google it. I don't know if they blew it up or not, but
now I'm curious. Is it still standing? Let's see. By 2008, it no longer met Houston's fire code. Voters then turned down a proposal to upgrade it in 2013, and it now sits. Oh, it's abandoned. It's there, but
there you go.
But it's a fire violation.
Boy, what a waste of space.
That is. It's a massive. I don't know what it's around. Is that like in a middle of nowhere? Or is it like kind of a downtown area? I have no clue.
It's I wouldn't say downtown, but it's certainly not in the middle of nowhere. It's inside of a loop, inside of the big loop.
Let's have the chat tell us where should the next like Field of Dreams style game go down. I would say A League of Their Own, but I believe that was filmed in Chicago. Wasn't that Wrigley? Would they film those? Well, actually not all of it, but some of it. They filmed the tryouts at least.
Rookie of the Year was at Wrigley Field.
Yeah, Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, we should have the Field of Dreams games, but have all the players' kids play.
Somebody's got to break their arm and all of a sudden have super strength.
And they also have to balk on the trick play, like because I'm a stickler for the rules.
Oh, you're saying that was a balk? You're calling balk?
Well, yeah. Well, you cannot feint having the ball. A pitcher cannot feint having the ball within 18 feet of the rubber on the mound. So, like the trick ball play, the pitcher has to be off the mound in order.
He was not on the rubber though.
He was throwing up the resin bag while he was on the mound. Of course, it's a balk. Get out of here.
I don't think so. I think if you're just as long as your feet is or you don't have a foot on the rubber, you're fine. I think.
No, it's 18. You're talking to the former umpire.
All right, Angel
I know
Hernandez.
the Major League Baseball rules. I'll live and die on.
Angel's in the outfield, but that doesn't count because that isn't that the ballpark in Arlington. No, what's it called?
Oh, Dean, I got one for you.
What do you got?
We could do a game from the Sandlot.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but that's at least a decent comparable to Field of Dreams where you could play in that type of environment. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
I could see that.
What about Ed? Remember the Matt LeBlanc movie where Ed was a monkey?
No, Dean, these are bad movies, Dean. Get some good movies in you.
I mean, Ed played the hot corner. Like, if you have a monkey in a team, that's like the worst place to hide him. It's hard to hide somebody at third base. But yeah, that was the end of Matt LeBlanc's movie career. But the chat, Bull Durham, Bull Durham, like a minor. I don't know what North Carolina. Where was that filmed? One of the minor league teams. There's got to be another way to do this. But
sure, there's Dean. Big question.
What do you got?
Big question for Blender here. 10:30 in the morning here. You're doing a show. Would you rather be doing this show with me and Dean, or do you feel more comfortable with McCool?
Well, it's a different type of show. This is Grinders Live. The pregame show.
No, not the show itself. The company that you keep. Which one do you prefer?
Dean or James? I can't include you.
Include me, my man. It doesn't bother me.
Well, I always love your company, so
Make
I
it
have
as awkward as possible. Include John.
All right, then we're good. I just didn't want you to have no McCool withdrawals. Like you got.
No, I'm only here because you won't do a show with Dean. You're by yourself.
It's in his writer.
But I
It's in your
prefer.
contract,
I prefer not to. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah. Well, you're stuck with us, Blender, for the next hour or so.
Oh, I enjoy being here. I'll say play wherever you want. People will ask questions, and I'll be like, maybe I'm doing this, and that's about it.
Me and Chop will go around the horn a little bit later, and you'll just be angry the whole time. You'll have your arms crossed, and I'll direct some questions for you for funsies. I was supposed to meet McCool at Grant's wedding, but he moved away. So
yeah, I saw him. Me and him hung out, and me and his wife, and me and my wife, we had dinner down in Nashville 2 weeks ago.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I think he's in Tennessee. I don't know if he's in Nashville, but I guess you know better than me.
Yeah, he's in Clarksville.
There you go. Shout out Nashville, the home office of RotoGrinders, of course. And yes, I see your boy Kirkwood in chat, Chop. He's asking me if I'm still squatting. Yes, I am still squatting in Colorado Springs, enjoying myself here. The Durham Bulls old ballpark still exists.
Oh, cool. Very cool. What about Major League with Charlie Sheen? We can go to that setup too. I got to ask Blender when he enjoys the Nashville food, can you get anything spicy, or does that, crush the
Not that spicy. I mean, we went to Hattie B's.
Oh, that's spicy, man.
You can get mild. I get mild when I get
I get mild, so what does it matter?
They give you the stink eye. If you get mild, they'll look at you like, dude, like, what are you even doing here?
Yeah, what are you even doing there with mild, man?
Which is a reasonable question. We'll talk about the slate in a second, obviously. I do want to mention, I addressed this pre-show. The RotoGrinders single entry series, we keep talking about it every single day because it's such a good contest with the added value. It's the first contest that disappears in the Fanduel lobby. If you want to play in the RG single entry series today, $5. There are less than 20 spots remaining. So if you've not yet reserved your spots, certainly by the end of the show, probably within 5-10 minutes, that's going to be closed out. So jump on over to the Fanduel lobby. You guys know how this goes down. Top 4 scores throughout the week within this contest. Your 3 lowest are dropped, assuming you're playing all 7 every single day. Whoever finishes first moves on to a free trip in Chicago. $50,000 total prize pool added. Just, bonus. And if you bank that amongst all the finalists there, your free trip in Chicago, you win 10,000 smackers. Major League was filmed at Milwaukee County Stadium. Didn't know that. The old Milwaukee, that's probably gone. Like, I imagine that's gone, but who knows? Maybe it's still standing. But the Field of Dreams one's just so cool because of the corn in the outfield. It's so distinctly different. I don't know. You really can't top that. It's kind of the thing. And maybe at some point it'll lose its luster, and certainly the game this year is not going to be as good as it was last year. Joey Votto, by the way, for what Narrative Street was talking about how much he loves Field of Dreams and how much, he tears up watching it, basically, the scene with the father. I don't want to give any spoilers. Statute of limitations. You should have seen it by now, but, basically he's really excited to be playing in the Field of Dreams game tonight. As for the day slate, Chop, it's a really straightforward slate. And then we'll bring in Blender in a second, and Blender's going to tell us why we shouldn't do the obvious stuff. And it'll make some sense because, baseball is goofy and wonky and the variance is high. But, Chop, it's very, very clear as far as the pitchers. It's very, very clear as far as the hitters. 6-gamer. No Yordan Alvarez for your Astros. He's getting a day off. Bobby Witt also not playing baseball today. But JT Realmuto, one of the catchers, resting day after a night game. I believe Christian Vasquez. Christian Vasquez also not in that Houston lineup. Dylan Cease, Framber Valdez for your Astros and his 18 straight quality starts, I believe it is. His absolutely ludicrous ground ball rate as well. And then you have Coors. Coors is going to do its thing. It did its thing yesterday. Well, I presume it's going to do its thing. Marquez, pretty solid pitcher. On the other side, Hudson, not so good. 12.5 total. Chop, it's straightforward, man. And it's not hard to get Cease, Valdez, or even both possibly. And Merrill Kelly's really cheap on DK as an SP2. You can get both. Is that what we're doing? How do we shuffle it up? How do we make it different? What's your thoughts as far as this slate?
First off, how's the mic now, guys? I need somebody to give me a mic check now. It's I think I had the wrong one on there. That's okay. All right. So basically there's 4 guys I like, and I'll figure out, probably just those 4 guys will be in my player pool, and that's what I'll figure out. Multiple lineups this morning, so probably won't venture outside that range. Framber, Cease, Gibson, and Kelly, I think are all fine. I'm not really looks like a lot of ownership on Framber. That's fine. I'll be underweight on that, but I'm not going to fade the guy. And Cease is fine, and Kelly's good. Kelly's really sneaky good here, and Gibson is the last one on the list. But yeah, those are the 4 guys. I'm not going to venture. I don't need to go crazy. I don't need to play a 1% owned Edward Cabrera or anything like that. I just stick to those 4 guys and hope I can hit the bats too.
Yeah, I mean, Cease has the biggest K rate on the slate by a good margin, almost 30% on the season. The next closest guy, you mentioned Cabrera. Cabrera is kind of the wild card, I suppose, on this slate because, the Ks are good, the pedigree is good, but he's been also super wild as well. He's also been lucky as far as BABIP, again, 20 innings, but like big time pedigree. The Marlins are just a factory for producing solid arms. He's just one more. Dylan Cease and his mustache against Kansas City without Bobby Witt. I think it did have the fire emoji earlier today as far as weather. Of course, Kansas City, not a great ballpark as is like a baseline, but a little bit better hitting weather as it typically is. Yeah, you fire up Ross Weather Edge, 85 game sample. Now, it doesn't really move the needle as far as the homers, runs, and ERA. It's all basically neutral, but there is the fire emoji, 87 degrees. Slight breeze coming in from right center, 5 miles per hour. Fire emoji, of course, in Coors, not that it needs it. We're looking at 93 degrees, a little bit of a breeze going out to left field. Dew point at 49. So, Blender, you know exactly what the field's going to do, right? In this game, it's pretty clear and obvious. Cease is going to get owned. Valdez is going to get owned. You're going to bring, I think, Kelly as an SP2 cheapie is probably going to get some owned as well on DK. Coors is it's right there. And then there's 5 other games going on that are going to be mostly neglected. What does Blender do?
Well, I think that I'm in agreement, sort of, for the most part, with Chop on the pitching. Like, I'm only building 1 lineup today, as I did yesterday, for single entry, 3 max, that type of stuff. The only person I don't agree with Chop is Kelly, and I'll explain why. So Valdez, Cease, Plesac, and Gibson. Only because Plesac's facing the Tigers, he's 6,900, and the Tigers are a strikeout factory. Now, Plesac's not a big strikeout pitcher, and he tends to walk many people, but the Tigers lineup isn't very patient. So Plesac does project out very comparably to Gibson, point per dollar wise in the bat. I'm more likely to have Valdez than Cease because I think in comparison to their popularity, I think Valdez could pitch like 110 pitches. Like he could go like 8 innings. I mean, if he's pitching well. I mean, obviously Cease's strikeouts are much higher, but based on the projections, I mean, the bat has Valdez high 2.5 points higher projected median than Cease. And I don't want to build Valdez Cease lineups because once you build Valdez Cease lineups, And especially if you're playing some piece of cores, you're going to run into just heavily owned combinations. So I'm probably going to do something like Valdez Gibson or Valdez Plesac. And if Kelly is going to get ownership, we have him at 26% owned on DraftKings. I think I may be playing the Pirates today.
Oh boy.
Because I mean, on these smaller slates, on a 6-game slate, the easiest path to first place is finding some majorly enough leverage point where you're negatively correlated to something popular. Now, the obvious ones would be to stack against Valdez or Cease. But also, on the other end of the spectrum, when you stack a team with five players, they have to pretty much be the highest scoring team on the slate. So what are the likelihood? Yeah, sure, Valdez could fail, Cease could fail. But are the Royals and the Rangers going to put up more runs on average than everyone else on the slate? Probably not. I mean, Valdez could fail and the Rangers score 4 runs, right? Same for Cease with the Royals. It's like, as long as you find like the 3 guys that do the damage, maybe you could do that. I think it's more likely I find a own pitcher. So I'm looking at like either the Marlins against Gibson, the Pirates against Kelly, the Tigers against Plesac or something. But I think Plesac is going to be the lowest owned out of those 3. I think Kelly 1, Gibson 2, Plesac 3. So it's like, how much leverage do I get with the Tigers in comparison to the Pirates? And I think I get more with the Pirates. And I think the projected starting lineup for the Pirates later today at 340, they're cheap. I mean, if Marcano leads off at 2K and he's second base eligible, it's like, instead of playing Gorman for the Cardinals, like, why can't I play Marcano? Like, I could still make a similar type of lineup as these Colorado stacks, just with different players. So, like, while a lot of people will be playing, like Gorman, O'Neill, Nootbaar, DeJong, Molina. Like, if I can get away from playing like Molina at 2K at catcher and do something else, like, just find a way. I'm not getting away from the Cardinals today or Coors today. It's just a matter of where else am I going in order to be different. I think a lot of people are going to be playing Montero, who's now, the lineup just came out. He's batting 6th and he's 2,700. He's a power hit, so he's boom or bust. He's a power hitter where he strikes out a ton. But Dakota Hudson doesn't strike out pretty much anyone. So he's going to be popular at first or second or third base. So I'm just looking at that construction going, how can I be different enough? And if I do play the Cardinals, I'd much rather play leverage on a pitcher like Kelly than just find something else, because everyone else is going to just try to find something else. I want to find leverage somewhere.
Chop, we got Kirk Dees talking smack to us. He didn't take, he's just upset that you cut him off as far as college football. I guess that's what's going on there.
Yeah, it happens, man. Guys, then guys want to come back and take all their anger out on me in chat like that. It's okay, but you got to learn a lesson, Dean. This is when you have kids, you do these things. It hurts you inside to punish people, but you got to do it to teach a lesson. So unfortunately, Kirkwood cut off and now he's mad, but that's okay, man.
Blender mentioned the Rockies lineup coming out. It just dropped. Interesting that Iglesias is batting second, Blackman first, Iglesias, Rogers, McMahon, Grichuk, no Crone. I knew something looked different. No CJ Crone. So Blackman, Iglesias, Rogers, McMahon, Grichuk, Montero, Jonathan Daza, Hilliard, and Servin. White Sox have a different look as well. Luis Robert leading off. That's interesting, with Vaughn batting second, Jimenez third, Abreu fourth. All the power. A bunch of big bats there. I know the White Sox have been miserable all season long, essentially, but facing Greinke, a guy who just doesn't miss bats these days. I like that White Sox lineup. Love that top of the order. Robert, Vaughn, Jimenez, Abreu, Grandal, who's been a disaster, Moncada, Harrison, Sosa, and Zavala. You mentioned, Blender, as far as Detroit. I just, any arm against Detroit that's throwing baseballs with their right hand. The absolute worst team in baseball when it comes to ISO 106, the active roster versus righties. That's horrendous. The WRC plus, the weighted runs created plus, it's 70. And the second worst team versus righties is 78, meaning they're 30% worse than the average baseball team. They are horrendous. As far as the K rate, I guess I can look at the team K rate or specifically as far as the plate IQ, but they're top 6 in the league as far as striking out. And I presume the specific lineup today is pretty strikeout heavy as well. And that is the reason why, the only reason why I would consider Plesac. Chop, you said you like Gibson. I moved Gibson down, just kind of messing with my rankings earlier today, and I moved Kelly in front of him. I know Pittsburgh, you want to pick on him a little bit more with lefties, but I think that Pittsburgh lineup is bad. And I know Blender was talking about playing Pittsburgh possibly, and sure, I suppose, and I don't mind like one-offs like Cruz and whatever as a flat-out punt. Marcano, I guess, 2K, why not? Newman, I'll pretty much never play. Ownership-wise, Chopper, let's just kind of talk about it. I'll kind of jump back and forth as far as DK and on FanDuel. DK, I mean, double barrel, Cease and Valdez, like Blender was talking about, like that's going to be easy to do if you want to do that. They are the 2 clear best pitchers, I think, in my estimation. We're looking at 54% ownership on Cease, 43 on Valdez, 30 on Kelly, 26 on Gibson, 21 Plesac, and then the rest, everybody else is under like 10%. Yeah, where do you think you're going to land, Choppy? I mean, are you okay taking the chalk of Cease and Valdez and trying to be a little bit different elsewhere?
I am, but that's probably not. I would be okay with that, but that's probably not what I'm going to do. Well, first of all, I'm not going to play on DraftKings, so let's just say that. But if I were, I'd probably be mixing in. Actually, I'd kind of like glossed over Zach Plesac. That was actually a really good pickup by Blender. So he is kind of neck and neck with Gibson for me. I still like Kelly, but I'd be mixing in all 5 of those guys. But I mean, if I'm in a cash game, I probably do force in just like one big lineup, and I probably do force in Valdez and Cease and figure it out from there. But GPPs, I'm mixing in those other 5, and I don't think nobody stands out. Nobody will be severely overowned compared to the other 4 guys for me.
Blender, you said you're making one lineup, right?
Yep, I'm making one lineup. And someone in the chat mentioned about picking Gibson, picking on Gibson with the Marlins. Like, I'm fine with that also. Like, the point that I'm making is I'm not picking a team because they're the best team. I'm picking a team because it's against an owned pitcher. So it's like, if I'm not going to play one of these pitchers that are like SP2 quality. That's why I said not Cease or Valdez. So it's like, do I pick on Gibson? Do I pick on Kelly? Or do I pick on Plesac? I think Plesac is the lowest owned of the 3, so I get less leverage with the Tigers than I do with the Marlins or the Pirates. And I think Kelly and Gibson will be around the same own. So if you want to do that with the Marlins and say, hey, I'm going to play Kelly or play Plesac, and then make play like JJ Bleday in the outfield, play Lewin Diaz at 2K, play some of these like lefties. Joey Wendell is overpriced at 4K for what the matchup is, or Garrett Cooper at 2,200. Like, I'm perfectly fine with that. I mean, Nick Fortes is 4,700. That's a bit of a joke.
Yeah.
So why not pay up there instead of Molina just to be contrarian? I'm perfectly fine with it. Like, to me, it's a 52-48 type of decision. It's like, Gibson just projects better than Kelly, so I'm more likely to side when things are equal to the pitcher that has a slightly higher projection, and then because the batter projections I don't care about anymore. I'm just playing purely the batters for leverage.
We're still waiting for 3 lineups. The Cardinals has not come out just yet. That game starts 3:10 on the East Coast, so rightfully so. In Pittsburgh and Arizona, no lineups just yet there, and again, that's a later game, 3:40. On the East Coast. So plenty of time. Otherwise, we got all the lineups out. FanDuel, Chopper, as far as pitchers, we're looking at 60% is going to be either Cease or Valdez. We mentioned the DK ownership. I want to talk about the FanDuel ownership. Kelly's at 11%, Gibson 11%, Plesac 9%, and then basically nobody else getting anything above 3 or 4%. Do you have a lean? Cease a little bit more expensive than your boy Valdez. Kelly, I like the price a little bit more on DK as opposed to FanDuel. He's fine. The matchup's fine. I think if I'm going to, and the ownership's reflecting here, right? Chop 11%, 12% for Kelly, and a little bit more you get. I think Valdez and Cease are just better. But of course, bring the ownership in, and maybe I understand why you would pivot away from him. What's your thoughts as far as FanDuel pitching?
Well, I will say first off, before I get to that, I want to point out that Lip is in chat and he's claiming he made a video to send to you for this week. Okay. But I'm trying to get him to link the video and he's giving me the runaround while I'm on the show.
What video is he doing?
He's trying to get on. He's trying to beat Dean's meat or something. What is it, Dean? What is the contest?
It's a common mistake. I understand. You get the words messed up, but the hashtag Beat Mean Dean.
Okay, yeah.
People run the Beat Mean Dean contest. If you guys aren't aware, basically I'll send out a tweet. You respond to that tweet. You respond in a creative way. You stand out in some particular way. I will select you to take me on. And then how does that go down? We'll play a head-to-head contest. I'll play on your turf. I'll be visiting team. You want to play on DK? I'll play DK. You want to play on Fanduel? I'll play Fanduel. We play a head-to-head contest. We'll do this tomorrow. We'll have the head-to-head contest. I'll probably drop the tweet some point. But if you guys happen to beat me, if I select you, you get not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, no, it is 6. 6 weeks free. RotoGrinders Premium. Can't put a price on that. And of course, bragging rights of being the first person to beat me. I've been adding weeks, Chop, because every week
Nobody
I win.
Can beat you.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, it's a small sample size. We're 4-0. We keep we're just running the table. We're having ourselves a good time, and the marketing team is certainly happy with me because they're not giving away free premium. But eventually,
you can put a price on it. You said you can't put a price on it. You
can't. I mean, you could.
That's the point. The point is you're giving away something that has a price. That's what makes it a prize.
But how do you factor in the bragging rights of beating me? What's the cost?
Oh, no, the bragging rights are price. You can't put a price on bragging rights, but you could put a price on the 6 weeks of free premium.
Well, I mean, that price is, I mean, theoretically one could buy premium, right?
Right. That's why you can put a price on it.
Yes. Well, again, Blender, you're all technical with the balk. You're all technical with the, let's roll with it. Let's just say you could theoretically bust out the calculator if you want to, I suppose. But yeah, you could put a price on it. I don't know, whatever premium costs per month, one times 1.5. There you go. And then add in whatever added value is of beating me, the bragging rights, which might be $0. That's potentially worth nothing. I don't know. So anyways,
no Kettle Marte in the Diamondbacks lineup. Lineup just came out.
Eric
it's
wants to
totally different than projected. I mean, that there's multiple people that are. It's Thomas, Rivera, Rojas, Walker, Varsho, Kelly, Luplo, Alcantara, Perdomo.
Okay.
So it's all no Beer, no McCarthy.
Should we acknowledge Brubaker?
No.
Okay. Like, he's just sort of, okay. He's sort of
like,
oh, yeah. By the way, you're saying Eric, I don't know. He's been spamming me on Twitter. So he's sent me a lot of tweets. So I don't know where.
I mean, I'm saying, can you just give us a direct link to the video? That would help. It might even help his chances of getting selected this week. Yet I'm on a show and he's giving me the runaround. Like, I got the bandwidth to go and search Dean's profile for the last week and pull it. Like, come on, man, just send me the link. I mean, this might help. I'm trying to help me help you. That's what I'm trying to do here, man. And you're not making it easy. So I don't know what.
But now he's like bullying me into picking him, and I want everybody to have a fair chance. Like, I don't know why. Like, why should I give in to this bully?
Yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know.
That's a bad example.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But right now I can't be searching Dean's profile for the last 6 days to find the needle in the haystack to look at the video. So,
but he's saying I'm dodging him at the same time. So, like, yeah, if I'm not I can't win. Either I'm dodging him or I give in to the bully.
Yeah, it's tough, man. So you have to figure it out. But imagine what happens, Dean, if you do play him and he beats you. Now this is going to be the ultimate test for you right here, because this is the biggest one. You can't get beat by the bully, man. That's not. I got to make sure the A's
precedent. They'll stack the A's against me probably, so I feel pretty good about that. But yeah, we'll see. We're gonna run it, and last week we had Tim challenge me, and he sent a video, and it was creative and it was good, and that's why he stood out, and that's why I picked him, and that's the way to do it. And seriously, you're making lineups anyway. Like, why would you not just take a shot and say, hey, put my hat in the ring? And again, I know Blender can put a price on it. He can do the math. But challenge me. Maybe I'll pick you. You never really know. Check out my my Twitter account later on today. DFS_almanac. There you go. Other things as far as the slate. It's, again, really straightforward as far as pitching. We'll top hitters in a second. I guess we'll go around the horn against Blender's best judgment. Blender, are you going to be okay with that? You're just going to have your arms crossed the whole time?
No, that's fine. Go for it. Have fun.
Have fun. And whatever's on your mind, chat. Oh, by the way, since you're here, hit that like button. Yeah, hit the like button to subscribe, to turn on those notifications. About a half hour or so, you got Dave Potts coming in, and SquirrelPatrol just keeps winning live final seats. Last counts before last night, I don't know what he did last night, but he was at 4 on Fanduel and 4 on DK. So, yeah, about 10 more live final seats, Blender, and you're going to get an invite. He's going to have a +1 waiting for you.
Great.
How many more for Chop? I don't know. I'm not on that list either, I don't think. But I don't have enough friends. If I had like 15 live final seats, I would just be giving them away to random people. But all right, let's give me the summary, Blender, as far as pitching. How are we handling pitchers?
I mean, we said it before. I mean, I think that the top options are Cease and Valdez, and you can fit them both in. Just understand that those constructions are going to be chalkier. And then as SP2s on, and obviously on FanDuel, you're much more likely to just play Cease or Valdez, and that's it.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about the cheaper pitching. But then, Gibson, Plesac, Kelly. I can't see playing Greinke. I mean,
no.
It just how does he? I mean, even at 5,700, just play. Please, you could. It's not like you need to find the money. The fact you could jam in the 2 most expensive pitchers and still stack a cores team means that why do you need to go down there? If you're looking for upside at a cheap pitcher, at least go with like Cole Reagans or something, because maybe you could strike out 4 or 5, 6 guys on the Astros with Alvarez out of the lineup and Maldonado in. But if you're playing any of the other pitchers, you're doing it purely because. Why not take a shot? But I mean, they don't project as well as everyone else anyway. I don't think the pitching ownership is that exorbitant to begin with, and I'm more likely to just stick with more chalkier players at pitcher where the scoring is less variant.
I ran 100 optimals just now on DK. 82% with Cease, 68% with Framber. Like you said, Valdez, Cease combinations are going to be popular. Then Gibson at 36%, Kelly at 14%, Plesac at 2%. And I mean, that's basically my pool. I'm probably going to have less Gibson. I know the Marlins are bad, but I just trust Kelly more if I'm going to be saving some money and whatever that's worth. I mean, amongst those two, or I'm probably just going to be over the field on Cease and Valdez. And I know you talked about trying not to do that, but I'm also not playing the 30,000 person contest. And if I am, that's just like I'm throwing it in just because. That's not what I'm making my lineups with that in mind. I'm talking about like single entry, 3 entry max, that kind of thing. Did you finalize your thoughts there, Blender, as far as pitching, or shall I throw it over to Chop for his thought?
Throw it over to Chop around the horn.
Well, I want Chop's pitching thoughts. I know you kind of gave him Chop, but people kind of come in throughout the show, and you touched on it earlier. Give me the summary as far as pitchers.
My summary, playing FanDuel this morning, would be you got 5 guys, Framber, Cease, Gibson, Kelly, Plesac. For me, just pick one. Doesn't really matter. Just pick one. It's hard to say you're going to go wrong necessarily. Before the game starts, it's hard to say you're going to go. I think you go wrong picking somebody if you're before the game start, you're picking Dakota Hudson or something like that. Cole Reagans. I don't know about there's no real need for that. I'd say pick one of those guys and just pick one, and you should be all right.
We got Mr. Richard in chat, and if I read that correctly, let me scroll back up. I was reading chat earlier, and I believe Mr. Richard said, shout out Mr. Richard, took down the 50-cent mini max on DK the afternoon slate. Winning is good. There you go. Yeah, let us know when you win. By all means, tweet us, tweet me, and we'll give you all a shout out if you take something down. Congratulations, winning the 50-cent mini max. What is that? 20 entry, 20 max? I assume. I don't know.
It's a mini max. It's a max, so 150.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't. I was thinking of the other. The 20, the minimum 20.
And it would be called the 20 max.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
It's priceless, right? You can't put a price on that until you can put a price.
Well, no, they tell you exactly how much you win and exactly how much it costs. So
just like we know exactly how much RotoGrinders premium is. You could click on the link in the description and even get $10 off.
Well, there's too much math required for that.
Dean, do you see how I transitioned into like an actual like shilling for something? Like, like groveling? Like I did it in a way that it doesn't seem like groveling. Please hit the thumbs up button. See, that's groveling. So you can hit the thumbs if you want, if they want.
Are you watching the stream out of curiosity? Did it just go up? Did that move it up incrementally? Did
I don't
people
care.
just say,
I don't know. I don't look to see whether or not I'm effective. What are
the
you talking
metrics
about?
matter though? Did you just move the needle? Is what I'm asking. That groveling, did that help? That's my question.
The number of likes on the video don't affect my money. So like, well, I don't need to track it.
Well, theoretically, like if we got 0 likes and like the company went under.
Oh, okay. At that point, sure, yeah. But then of course the checks won't clear.
Yeah, so like it all sort of like is intertwined.
I don't have a roto tracker for YouTube likes. I'm sorry, I don't track that.
Mr. Richards asking no Edward Cabrera, and again, like Edward Cabrera came back and he was an absolute stud last time out. They, against the Cubbies, he went 5 innings. He did walk a few. As far as hits, no hitters, no hits. And they still pulled him. They only let him throw 78 pitches. The Marlins are going nowhere. He's a young arm. Again, super talented. The thing is, he's not cheap. He's 8'6". Can he go 6 innings and sort of duplicate that? And again, this is a really elite arm. He's also wild. So sometimes that arm is not harnessed, is not fully developed. If you're running 150, I guess you can put him in the pool. But, there is a high range of outcomes. And he's only going to throw maybe 80-ish pitches. I think I saw Derek Carty's the bat. I was looking at it earlier as far as his allotted pitch count. Do support Derek Carty. Let's see. What do we have here? 81 is our kind of the projected number of pitches for him. So, yeah, again, they pulled him throwing a no-hitter after 5. He was spectacular. Can you play him? Sure, but he's got to thread the needle. This is kind of my thought process. Let's talk stacks. We're going to go – me and Chop will go around the horn really quickly. I want to answer whatever questions you guys have in chat, whatever you're thinking about as far as building lineups, what's on your mind. Any sort of strategy. Blender's here. I'll answer all your strategy questions, obviously. Not your this guy or that guy questions. Myself and Chop will handle that. Chop, I'm pulling up our rankings as far as our consensus rankings when it comes to stacks. No surprise. We got the Coors 1 and 2, St. Louis 1, Colorado 2. Cheese has Colorado 1. He's the only one amongst those two. We've got Colorado 1, St. Louis 2, picking on Dakota Hudson. Houston 3, White Sox 4, Cleveland 5, and a little bit of Miami love from Grant and Dave Potts. Do you agree with that, Chop? Is that kind of sort of where you're at as well? What's missing? What should get kicked out?
Yeah, I don't know because I really didn't follow along, but I'll say this about the stacks. I don't necessarily I'm not a huge fan of any of these offenses today. Like the Coors Field is always Coors Field. 2 nights ago, man, if you didn't have Colorado when they scored like 13 runs, you weren't cashing. Last night, St. Louis put up a lot of runs with a lot of power, so you kind of need it. Coors can always go off. But with that being said, I don't necessarily love it today as much as I have the last couple of nights. Houston's lineup against Ray is going to, project pretty well. Not in love with that one either, just because that lineup is watered down, man.
No Alvarez.
Technically, no Brantley. There's guys have been in and out for a while, and
no Vasquez, Maldonado in there instead.
The lineup kind of for a lot of it kind of hinges on either Tucker or Alvarez being really, really good at that particular time. And right now, Tucker might be getting into a good groove, but he has been terrible for about 3 or 4 weeks. So that lineup is not great. So don't love Houston. And then after that, you're talking about Arizona, Cleveland, Chicago. Like, I don't know, man. They don't jump out. So to me, yeah, the stacks are, I'd probably rank them if I had to rank them. St. Louis, or I'd say Colorado, Houston, St. Louis, Cleveland, the White Sox. But with that being said, that's just really random and arbitrary. I'm not in love with any of the stacks today. So you know what that means, Dean?
Oh, you're gonna be doing your homer hunting kind of thing, right?
I may not be stacking today. Now I'm sure just based on projections, you have to play with it a little bit when you start building, because if you're using the bat or whoever you use, it's going to force in the Coors Field action. So you got to nerf it down a little. So with that being said, there'll be stacks, little mini stacks in there from that game, but I'm not in love with it.
Blender, tell Chop why he's wrong. It's like it's incorrect to not stack. Like yell at him, tell him that's just not mathematically how things work.
Well, I'm not. he's not playing 8 one-offs. He's obviously playing multiple batters from some teams. It's not going to be 1-1-1-1-1-1-1. What he's saying, not stacking, is like maybe he's playing 3-3-1-1, like 3-2-1, like whatever is the best available at a position. It's not like he's going out of his way to go 5-3. Well, on FanDuel, you're doing 4. So maybe he's playing 3-2-2, something like when we say stacking, like take a look at Chop's lineups. He's not going and just going 1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1.
That's hard
right,
to even
Chop?
do. Like, you can't even do that like accidentally, basically. But yeah, I know what you're saying.
Right.
And
So like to
one
say
is a
that you're
stack is also a
purposely
free
going,
Yeah.
right? He's not purposely going out of the way not to stack. It's just that, well, instead of just going 4-4 and being like everyone else,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the combinations on
Yeah.
FanDuel work out that way. It's like, well, maybe I'm just doing a 4-man stack and 1-1 and 4 one-offs, or a 3-man stack, another 2-man stack, and then another 2 and a 1-off, like that type of stuff. That's really what he's talking about.
Yeah, I had a lineup last night was 4 Cardinals and 4 one-offs. And that was my best lineup. I put up a big number. By the way, you mentioned Blender. You said you were upset that somebody got 2 right. Did you have a sweat last night? Did you almost hit something big?
No. I prize picks. I had a lot on Kyle Wright's unders.
Oh, okay. You almost would you go like 4 or 5 or something like that?
No. I do round robins of 2, so it's just a matter of how much money.
I got you.
It's just that Kyle Wright, I had like maybe $400 or $500 on a bunch of cards, right? And if that would have came in, that would have ended up being like another like $1,500.
Gotcha. And Blender, your thoughts as far as stacks? I know you kind of touched on it before, and possibly picking on some of the popular pitchers that aren't necessarily very good. With none of those teams that were mentioned, I don't think you mentioned Pittsburgh. You may have mentioned the Marlins, so the Marlins kind of got a little bit of a shout out there. Your thoughts quickly?
Based on the bat projections, I mean the top stacks are cores. I mean that's end of story. We know this. It's going to be chalky. Outside of that, probably the White Sox and the Guardians would be 2, and would be outside of cores would be the top 2. And then if you're not doing any of that, then you play. I mean, you're at the point of playing whoever you want. Like if I'm not going to play cores, the White Sox or the Cardinals or the Guardians, none of these teams matter who you play. Like, oh, you play the Diamondbacks against Brubaker. It's like, well, why do I play the Diamondbacks with Brubaker when I could play someone against a pitcher that I do not have, where 25% of the field gets killed on the same time that my stack does well? So it's a game theory decision, not a who's going to do better in baseball type of decision. And that's why like the Marlins and the Pirates and the Tigers come into play for those SP2 slots, because you can do, if you want to go at extreme, you could do the Royals, right? You could do with the Rangers, extreme leverage, but you kind of still have to have the highest scoring. Is the Coors game going to be 1-0 and you win with a 5-run team? I don't know about that. So I'm more likely to pick on the SP2 type pitchers rather than the SP1 type pitchers.
I mean, the other thing with like picking on Framber Valdez, 67% ground balls, 14% fly balls, 0.47 homers per 9. It's just so hard. Like he's very unlikely to give up a homer. I suppose he can, but like fly balls are not even happening. Like he can get BABIP to death, like we saw with Miles Michaelis. Like that happens. 10 straight like hits and walks. Of course, that's in Coors Field where they have a bigger field, and BABIP is more likely to happen. But I just don't know how to pick on Framber. And like with 18 straight quality starts, can the bullpen yield something? Sure. Can he get hit today out of nowhere? I suppose, but the likelihood is so much less than everything else. Chop, let's quickly go around the horn. Blender's going to cross his arms. Whatever questions come up in the chat, we're happy to entertain those as well. Chop, catcher, it's bad. You could spend up on Melendez or Perez if you want to against Cease. I suppose there's some leverage in that. No real Muto today. There's going to be some punts. It's ugly. How are you handling this?
Well, lucky for me, Dean, I play on FanDuel and I don't have to roster a catcher.
Fair enough.
So the one that I say, Dalton Varsho is the one I have highlighted only because he's not really a catcher. He's kind of just, he's just a really good hitter. So Varsho is the guy I've highlighted. But on FanDuel, I don't plan on having any catchers really. Like if you had to twist my arm, then I'd probably go to somebody like Grandel, who's batting in a good spot in the order and has a reasonable matchup, things like that. But otherwise, Varsho for me on FanDuel, and then if just look on filter on DraftKings, anybody under 3K at catcher, and look for the best spot in the batting order if that's what you want to do.
Doesn't really exist. It's bad, man. I mean, there's Luke Mlb who's batting 8th versus Hill. Like, again, you don't feel good about that. That's there. Yadi Molina, if he draws the start, and he might be like 25% owned, and at this point in his career, he's not. He can use cores as a
that's a good point, Dean. If you see, like, if you're in a GPP and you're shooting catchers today with 25% ownership, that may just be the exclude. You may just want to exclude them from your player pool. Nobody in this position is worth 20+% ownership today, I don't believe.
What about first base, Chopper? Because Goldie, obviously in cores, we prefer him against lefties. Marquez better against righties, but it's still cores, and Goldie's still really, really legit, obviously. Pasquantino is still a punt if you want to have that. Of course, the matchup's not particularly great. Cross off CJ Crone. I think I'm Jose Abreu against Greinke. I love that Chicago lineup, what they're doing today. Cross off Naylor as well. No Naylor today. Amongst the first baseman, where you're at.
Oh, Goldschmidt is fine in Coors Field. Rhys Hoskins is really hot right now. I like Rhys Hoskins. So if that's your preferred method, Rhys Hoskins, that Philly lineup. Jose Abreu, you just mentioned him. Did you know Jose Abreu's like 36 years old? He's getting up there, man. He's getting up there in age. So, but he's still
as Tony La Russa. He's getting up there.
Oh man, La Russa's something else, ain't he, boy? I tell you what. I don't know. That's a whole nother topic, but I don't know what possesses a guy who owns just a franchise worth hundreds of millions of dollars to watch this take place. But anyway,
just doesn't care. Like Reinsdorf you're talking about, just doesn't care. But yeah,
it's crazy stuff. Abreu's fine though; he's having a decent year. Christian Walker against Brubaker is fine, and those are the guys I have on my list. I'm not going to mention Gurriel today, but it is what it is.
Marte not in the lineup for second base. Kick him out. Gorman, we presume, is going to be hitting near the top of the lineup, the lefty versus the righty. Marquez, 4.5K on DK, pretty reasonable price. Edmund probably gets dropped back down to the 9-hole on the St. Louis side. Rogers draws the 3 spot versus Hudson. Hudson, nothing to be afraid of. Where are you at as far as second chop?
Yeah, Gorman's near the top of my list. If he gets that good spot in the batting order, Altuve's fine. Brendan Rodgers in Coors Field is fine. Bryson Stott for Philly he's a pretty good hitter from what I've seen. So I don't hate Philly. I know Cabrera's a really strong arm, but Philly just has a regular season lineup that will wear you down and eventually get to you. They did it to Alcantara last night, and so
the bullpen, right?
No.
Oh, was it Sandy? I guess I missed that. Okay.
They just kind of lurk and keep pressure on you the whole game during the regular season. Like, I do think that they're going to flop in the postseason, but that's another point. But they'll lurk around. They got to Alcantara in the 8th inning. They finally got to him. Probably kept him in there too long, but it is. They always do. Yeah, but Diaz, I led Miss Diaz batting 5th today. I like that spot for him against a lefty. He's actually been a pretty productive hitter this year for Houston.
Hey, Chop, did you miss GQ in chat saying Goldie BBP? Are you aware of BBP versus this is your realm. This is your wheelhouse. Do you know what's going on as far as Goldschmidt versus Marquez?
Yeah, it didn't really jump out to me. I have to be honest with you.
Is GQ just like forcing it? It's not legit, but you got to make it happen.
There's levels to this game, and that's just not really. I'm not. It didn't jump out to me. I can pull it up real quick. There's only 6 games, and there's some younger pitchers, so there's not really much PvP working out there, but that definitely was
13 hits, 34 bats, 13 hits, 2
doubles. 9 Ks doesn't cut it. Yeah, I know. Actually, are we on second base yet? Yeah, we're on second base?
Kinda.
Let me see here. Hold on. I got one out of the box. Oh no, he plays third base on FanDuel. That's next. But no, that doesn't do it for me, Dean. Honestly, 13 hits and 9 Ks doesn't really do it for me. You know what I'm saying?
Homers? You don't like home runs?
The home runs. There's too much variance there. You have to realize it's Marquez, so he spent his career in Coors Field. So some of those homers could have just been product of Coors Field. Like, it just doesn't work for me, Dean.
Do you ever like go to like Baseball Savant and like look at the exit velocity versus pitcher?
Absolutely. Look at all that stuff. Pull it all up, Dean.
Yeah. I'm pulling it up on the fly. I'm just wanting to see how hard he's hitting them. Blender, just want to check in. You doing all right, Blender?
I'm doing fine. I'm checking stuff on my end. I'm checking everything.
You find anything interesting that you want to share with us?
Well, I'm looking at prize picks.
What's your favorite prize picks today?
Well, a lot of them are gone. I mean, that's the beauty of prize picks. You'll find good stuff and then they'll move it. So like you get in before and you're golden. I'm scared to tell you what the best value on the board on prize.
Hold on, wait. Let me pull it up so I can get it in before they take it down. Hold on.
They're not going to take this down. They haven't. I put this in last night and they still haven't taken it down. So I'm scared to give this out because I'm not even convinced of this.
What you got? Give it to me, D. Come
All
on.
right, man.
The only thing and I have my own money down on this. Basically the Greinke over fantasy points and over Ks.
Really?
What is the K's like 3.5? What is it?
Now the Ks are 3, which I don't necessarily love on prize picks with the even numbers because they push you on a 2-pick to a 3-2 odds. So like I'm not high on that, but Greinke over 17.5 fantasy points. They do FanDuel scoring.
You think he crushes them?
I don't think he crushes. It's just the bat has his median at 23.96.
Interesting.
It's about 25% off.
Is Chopper
According to the bat.
convinced? Are you betting Greinke over?
I mean,
no, I already have that.
Blender says it. I'm going to put it in right now. I just got to find.
I don't say it. I don't say it. The bat.
I just got to find 4 more because I like to do 5-teamers.
Okay, so Chop, if you complain to Cardi because I'm just going by the bat.
Yeah, I'll complain to somebody for sure.
Chop, did you knock out third? We got to pick it up now because the
I didn't knock out third, and Dean, we got plenty of time. Give me a break.
They're going to do.
I got to do this. Blender can kick us some third baseman real quick while I put in a prize picks. Dean, come on now.
Blender, do you want to fill in and give? I can knock it out unless Blender.
If you look at the projections, third base is you're probably going down to Montero or going up to Ramirez on DraftKings
or Arenado.
Or but Ramirez projects slightly better than
Arenado's cheaper and he's in Coors and it's revenge.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that my projections don't factor all those things in.
And McMahon, of course, against Hudson, batting cleanup as well. Otherwise, there's really not much going on. Moncada is batting 6, but he's been pretty horrendous this season. I think he's cheaper on FanDuel on DK. 4.2's not the greatest price, but it's fine, I guess.
I'm back, Dean. I'm back.
Chop, shortstop, Paul DeJong.
I didn't get to give you my BVP third baseman. It's a wild card, Dean. It's a wild, but I did like the numbers.
Okay.
Willie Castro for Detroit against Plesac.
How big is that sample? That can't be that big, is it? Willie Castro.
None of it is. All of it is small sample.
Well, I mean, what is Willie Castro? Okay, now I got to find what he's done. 7 for 15 with a double and a triple and a walk and a strikeout. All right. Get excited.
Money. That's so money in the bank right there. We got it. All right. Shortstop. And in the grand scheme of life, Dean, this is all a small sample size.
Sure.
So we're good. We'll just figure it out from there. All right. Shortstops. Paul DeJong. We can get behind some Paul DeJong, who's hot in Coors Field. Ahmed Rosario. He's been pretty good this year. I like that one. I mentioned a couple of these guys because they were eligible at second base. Jeremy Pena. I don't like him batting 7th. I wish he was up in the order, but this matchup might fit his profile a little bit better than some of these other pitchers he's been facing. And those are the 3 guys that I haven't mentioned yet.
The outfield Chop, like it's going to be, of course, the St. Louis guys. Nootbaar is still egregiously priced on DK, especially. FanDuel is pretty cheap as well, but he's 2.2 on DK. Carlson's 4.1. O'Neill's 4.8. Blackman certainly there for Colorado is well positioned. Blade looks like one of the best punts on the slate. If you need a punt at 2.1K, which can be very useful on DK. Robert leading off for Chicago is certainly interesting. Again, cross off Jordan Alvarez. Castellanos still pretty cheap these days. Again, I respect Cabrera, so I don't really know what I'm doing in Philly, to be honest, because I'm just it's a bit of a wild card for me. What do you have as far as the outfield there, Chopper?
Yeah, you mentioned some of them, but looking at it up, the Blackman and Coors Field's fine. Eloy Jimenez against Greinke, Luis Robert, as you would call him, against Greinke's fine. Although I still put the prize picks in, I do like some Chicago guys, so he had that going for us. And Kyle Schwarber, like I said, this Philly lineup just not going to get held down the whole game by the starter, and certainly not by the bullpen. So somebody's going off. So I've got several of these guys on my list.
Let's see. Who's the player that you're afraid of not having, Chop? That you think is going to be reasonably popular? This is one of the expert survey questions we typically have.
Yeah, well, I'm not doing the survey today, Dean.
Well, we're doing the survey live on the show. You don't have to write it out or anything. You can just say it verbally. It's much easier.
Who's the guy that I'm afraid of not having in my lineup? That probably depending on. By the way, I didn't mention this one. Lars Nootbaar is he's an exciting young player, Dean. I like Lars Nootbaar. I don't like him.
Exciting? I don't think
he's got a lot of energy. Have you ever watched him play?
Okay, I see. You're saying he's just fun to watch. I got you.
Yeah, he's got a lot of energy. He's a real spark plug. So I like that. Let me see. I would say that who would I be afraid of? Probably somebody like Javier Baez. He can always go. Let me see. I'm seeing some fair ownership on him. There's not a lot of batters outside of Coors Field. I'd say Coors Field, but I'm going to have some of those batters, so I don't think I'll be severely underweight. But a guy like Baez probably won't even end up in a lineup, and he can always crush you on any day. So somebody like that.
We got a question here in chat from Mike. He wants to know from Chop and from Blender. I'll ask Blender first. And this is the old Roth question. Roth's not going to be on. He's going to be he's got the day off. He's excited about the Field of Dreams game, I suppose. Luuch, there's no weather issues for our slate. Luuch is going to be hosting. We got Dave Potts coming in shortly. And I believe, is it Squirrel Patrol? Yeah, I believe it's Squirrel Patrol as well. So some elite analysts coming in shortly, any minute now. But Mike wants to know, Blender, you got one stack to win it all. Who you playing?
Oh, that's easy. I'll play the Pirates.
We're
talking about a large field GPP, right? Okay.
I presume, yeah. That's adding the context to it. Yeah, sure.
Right. Remember, we're talking about playing DFS, not predicting outcomes. We're looking what's the best way to win first place.
It's lineups, not players.
That's correct.
Chop, your answer?
What was the question again? Repeat just so I get the verbiage absolutely correct before I give the answer.
Yeah, Mike wants to know one stack to win it all. You just have one lineup, one stack, and understanding all the layers and the context that's built in the way there's a reason
that's what I thought the question was, and the answer would be I kind of need to know what contest you're playing, but in a vacuum, I'll go. I'll avoid all the other. I'll say Cleveland.
Right on cue, just so you know, Chop, in chat, Eric Johnson, live finalist, Eric Johnson.
Oh, no.
Fanduel live final. He says, I like Cleveland. So there you go. Right before you said it. And then right above it, Blender, Josh said, trust me, the Pirates aren't winning you anything today. And here's the thing. It's the old Blender, you've given this speech a billion times, but what do you win when you win? What do you win when you're right? And
I don't care. I don't care about winning. Obviously, I would love to win today. All I care about is winning a large field contest once a season. And as long as you play for first place, that's probably going to end up happening. So that's why it's not about predicting outcomes on today's slate. It's what are you doing long term that shows a profit. So I show long-term profit. Yes, I lose 95% of the time. But the 5% of the time that I win a lot of money.
What do you
win? Makes up for the other times 5 times 10. Chops won 2 millis, right?
Correct.
1, 2. I can't even keep track. You've won a ton, right? It's not like you win every week. It's not like you win every week or win every day.
Correct.
But one of those, you win you could lose for 5 years straight and still be profitable.
Yeah, and Josh is saying his process is nowhere near that, and I'm glad. And I understand that perspective too, and I'm sort of torn in the middle on that. And I got to be a little bit more blenderish in baseball to be fair. I've been more so over the years, but just embracing goofiness in baseball. And again, like you said, I have a hard time losing 25 slates in a row.
That's welcome to DFS, Dean. That's what it is.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things that I just sort of go back and forth on, but I completely understand what you do and I respect what you do, and obviously you do it with bankroll management, and you can sustain losing for a month in a row,
Months, weeks,
whatever it is. Yeah, you can't put a price on that. Wait, you can't.
Yeah, of course you can put a price on it. You're losing actual money.
Aaron's asking you specifically, what about Miami as the low-owned slate? It's funny, we got Dave Potts Cheese coming in just a second. I see he's popped up on the screen, and he did talk about him today in his article. He ranked him in as far as his consensus ranking, so he's going to pump up some Marlins. What's your thought, Blender, as far as the Marlins before you bring in the crunch time crew?
Well, Marlins are right. If you're not, it would be to me, I had to choose between the Pirates and the Marlins, and it just came down to, do I want to play Gibson or not? And I'm not playing Valdez and Cease together. So it's like, do I play Plesac and then I play the Marlins? Like, it's one of those, if you choose and you go, okay, well, people are going to be playing Gibson, so I'm going to play the Marlins. It's the same mindset. So if you choose the Marlins, and then, okay, that's fine.
I should have mentioned, by the way, and I'm sure Luch is going to mention it as well, I believe there is some NFL preseason, and I'm using air quotes, football being played this evening. If you want some assistance with that, PSU Fans 4, why did I make it 4? It's 2, is going to give you assistance on that. Take advantage of it with the lineup HQ tools, with the projections. If you have RG Premium, you want to jump in the Discord as well, especially close up to lock, because the beats are dropping all sorts of information. And don't be stuck playing the guy that's 20% owned that's wearing shorts tonight. You want to be on top of all the news. Luch, are you excited? First of all, it's been a while. Nice to see you. Are you excited? Are you playing the NFL preseason? Is this your bag? Is this your thing, or not so much?
No, it's not even close to being in my bag. But good to see you too. Your mustache has really taken on a new life since the last time we virtually sat down together.
It's doing some things, man.
I'm impressed. I mean, I got this thing going on, but it just
you're still showing me up. Don't worry about it. Like, you're way ahead of me.
I don't think so. Anyway, no, preseason not my thing. But Sean is a beast. He also has a premium pick for tonight on Scores and Odds if you're looking for some fun, I guess. So, yeah, he's good at what he does, and it's definitely not me. What about you? You dabbling tonight?
I typically don't, but, again, I'll play anything where there's an edge. There's no baseball tonight, essentially. There's the Field of Dreams game, so I might dabble. I haven't looked at, like, the major contests. If it's a flat payout, I'll probably play. If it's, like, 30% up top, I probably won't play. How about you, Squirrel? You playing this? Do you care about the preseason tonight?
I'm probably skipping preseason. I played preseason last year, like the Hall of Fame game, like showdown, single game, and I finished third place, and that's like the end of my preseason football career. Like I haven't touched it since.
Positive ROI, and you're getting out. Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm out.
Dave, how about yourself? Are the Browns playing this evening? I don't even know.
Honestly, I have not looked at the preseason schedule. I believe they play tomorrow. I haven't looked at it. I looked at it, but I don't think it's tonight. I think maybe it's tomorrow. We don't care about preseason for DFS or for real life.
But Cleveland, if you can win preseason, that's at least something for Cleveland, right? I don't know, like baby steps, maybe. Yeah.
The Browns are going to be amazing this year in the real season. You just wait and see.
And Devin in chat's letting us know that there's going to be a video breakdown from Sean that's going to be posted, I presume, right here. This is why you hit the like button and you subscribe and turn on those notifications. Blender, Chop, you got anything else for the boys, or shall we step aside and get out of here?
We better step aside. Let them do their thing.
Blender, you good?
Yep.
If you can summarize the slate, Blender, in 4 words, how would you do it, Blender?
Do whatever Cheese says.
There you go. Right on cue. The Fanduel sponsor Crunch Time starts now. On behalf of myself, Chop, and Blender, thank you for watching the first 3 quarters. You want to get all technical. Well, I guess 2/3, right? Yeah, it doesn't matter. Math is hard. Taking y'all up the lock, answering questions in the premium Discord, and maybe if Luch is feeling generous, I'll jump over to the YouTube as well and answer your questions. The Fanduel sponsor Crunch Time starts now. Luch, take it over.
All right. Good to see you guys as usual. Thanks for tuning in to the FanDuel sponsored RotoGrinders Crunch Time show here. I'm TheLuuch, and I'm here with Cheeseisgood. and SquirrelPatrol. Good to see you guys. What's going on, Dave Potts? How are you today?
Good morning, Mr. TheLuuch. It's nice and early, and we're here, and I'm thrilled to be here. This slate is so dumb. It really is. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I don't even know what we're going to say about it, but we will say some things. It's just when I opened it up, my initial instinct was, well, this is dumb, but let's dig in. So I, did my thing and dug in everything and came out realizing it's just kind of dumb. It's no one's fault other than these are the games we have today. I mean, there's nothing you can do. We can't add more games to the slate or change the pitchers. I tried to change the pitchers around, send some texts, but it didn't happen. So see what we can do.
Squirrel, is this the dumbest thing you've ever seen? We're setting the bar really low here from the top.
It's not the worst slate I've seen. Like the really bad ones are the ones where there's like 1 o'clock game and like a bunch of like 4 o'clock games they still put on the slate and like no lineups are out. But yeah, it's a little bit of a tough slate, but it should be a good time. There's still prizes to be won, so we'll go out and try to win them.
No matter how dumb a slate is, when I say dumb, I just mean there's these really obvious plays and everything, and then kind of nothing else, but somebody still has to win. You know what I mean? So it may as well be you. May
as well be somebody listening and watching if it's not one of us. So 6 games and a Coors game. It's fairly dumb. Like on the scale of dumbness, it's probably like a 7.5. So there's that. But Dean mentioned Sean in the preseason action here. If you want to get an NFL subscription for the season, $299.99 is the price, and you're going to get a ton of fantastic premium NFL content. It's like the world cares about NFL or something. We're almost there, folks. There's 2 preseason games tonight, and of course, we're 4 weeks away from the real deal in September.
Wait, did you just say there's 2 preseason games tonight?
Yeah, is that why?
And that's what everybody's talking about, is a 2-game NFL preseason. Okay, this slate is no longer dumb. This slate is now amazing. I thought these guys were talking like there was an actual preseason. It's a 2-game preseason slate. Oh my goodness gracious!
You gotta love the public, right?
This slate is amazing. Okay, let's talk baseball.
Let's talk about the best slate ever. But before we jump in, I have to mention that the Fanduel Single Entry Series is back with $50K in bonus cash up for grabs. We're in the 3rd week, so you still got 4 weeks left in the contest. So, okay, we'll talk some baseball now. And we will start with FanDuel. And, all right, Cheese, you said there's some obvious plays. We're going to start with pitching. I have the BatX projections up on my screen. Looks like Framber Valdez and Dylan Cease are going to be pretty popular on FanDuel. Give me your thoughts on the pitching today on FanDuel.
Yeah, so part of what makes it dumb, that's word of the day, is that the pitching, it's not really good, and it's really not points per dollar good, and yet it's still extremely obvious. Like, compared to what you usually see on a slate, a 10-4 Framber Valdez and a 10-9 Dylan Cease as chalk with Merrill Kelly as a 10K pivot, that's really weird, not great chalk. And yet it's still really pretty easy to play them and kind of silly not to. Officially, I think the best play is probably paying up for Cease. I mean, it's only a $500 difference, but at least he does have some upside. Valdez and Kelly are both just really good at real life pitching, and Valdez's streak, 18 straight and quality starts, is remarkable and fantastic, but it still has done not much for his DFS usefulness. So give me Cease. And then the salary savers, you're only kind of saving money. Like Zach Plesac at 8,200. I mean, even against Detroit, he doesn't really have realistic upside, and he does have downside because he's not good. Kyle Gibson, $9,000. That's not cheap, and he's not good. I really think you just play Valdez, Cease, and Kelly, and that's it. Even if you want to play a Goldschmidt, Arenado, Schwarber lineup, you can still do that because there's so many value bats. It's like it's weird chalk and it's overpriced chalk, but it's all there is. And I think the cheap stuff is just bad. I would play a little Plesac. There's some lineup where you're going to need it. And I'm fine with Brubaker as a, 8K-ish pivot. But unless Cease has a ceiling game, I don't think you're really winning it at pitcher today. So I would say just don't lose it with nonsense.
Squirrel, the floor is yours to tell me about FanDuel pitching.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of concur that it's like the top pitchers are obvious, but they're like not infallible. But there's really nobody to that's super appealing to pivot to. So like I think I'm probably going to end up overweight on like Dylan Cease. But also, in a 150 lineup set, I think you need to play some Kansas City stacks as well, just because like he can have a bad game. So, yeah, I mean the obvious choices are Cease and Valdez. I prefer Cease to Valdez, even with the price difference. And yeah, I mean maybe some Edward Cabrera. Like that's probably the best really low owned pivot that I would go to, because I think Philadelphia is going to be pretty popular, but I think Cabrera is decent as well.
Yeah, out of all the games on the slate, looking at Roth's weather edge tool, looks like there's some decent hitting weather in Detroit for the Plesac game as well. So I don't know if you're looking for one more notch in the belt to maybe not play Plesac. Maybe it's decent hitting weather. I don't know. I kind of agree though. Like the upside guys are Cease and Valdez, I think too. And I guess that's pretty much it. Should we move on to some FanDuel bats, and then we'll circle back and talk some DK before we take some questions? Is that okay with you guys?
You're in charge, Mr. TheLuuch.
Or should we go DK pitching? I haven't done this in a while, and I don't have a must-have.
Because of the small slate, let's just do DK pitching. We'll just kind of it's not a big enough slate for me to go back and forth.
Okay. My question is about DK pitching. Is saving salary from Cease to Kelly, like if you're going to play one, is that a big deal to you tonight, Cheese and Squirrel? Like, is it worth
the difference between Cease and Kelly to me is not big enough? Like, I really like a lot of value bats. I almost think on the DK side, I think you need to make your decision on the offense before you decide what you're going to do a pitcher. Like, if you feel like you need Goldschmidt and Arenado, or if your pivot stack is going to be like a high-end Phillies or something, then I think you're going to want to play more Zach Plesac there, or do Merrill Kelly instead of Cease. I end up landing on the side of wanting to get different with offense, and it's mostly cheaper offense. So I'm just playing Cease with one of Valdez and Kelly in the vast majority of lineups there. But Plesac is much more interesting, even with his badness, just because the price is lower.
Yeah, he's super cheap. Squirrel, what are your thoughts with some of the same guys we mentioned on FanDuel over here on DraftKings?
It's essentially the same thing. I think, for high dollar tournaments, I'm probably still going to end up like overweight on Valdez and Cease. We just don't need the salary that much. And it's actually worth noting that we don't have the St. Louis lineup out yet. They're probably going to be one of the top offenses, and there's a possibility you get a cheaper bat there. Like if there's a surprise, somebody is sitting, and you get a chance to get a pretty good value bat at low cost. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think you really need the salary. So I think I'm it's going to be like Valdez, Cease, and then some Merrill Kelly pivots.
Okay. Drop some questions, guys, in the YouTube chat or on our MLB Crunch Time Discord, and we will get to them. First pitch is at 1:05, Miami at Philly. Then you have a 1:10 game with Cleveland and Detroit. And then you kind of have an hour gap if you are tinkering after that. So 2 quick games to start, and then you have some time to make some changes if you still need to do so with your Excel sheets or whatever you do. Okay, I guess we could talk some bats now. Cheese, I'll put the ball in your court over here. Take it away. You want to go back to FanDuel or stick with some of these value bats on DraftKings you want to get into?
We'll talk kind of catcher, first base combined on FanDuel, and we kind of mentioned the DK catchers. So really the one place this slate gets kind of interesting is whether Cease and Valdez take enough ownership that we don't actually see Goldschmidt and Arenado being super high owned. Like if we assume a normal-ish St. Louis lineup, like that's the only thing you can't do super easy is just play Cease, Valdez, Goldschmidt, Arenado, and then go from there. I mean, you can make it happen, but like I think we're going to see Goldschmidt not crazy high owned because of the salary, and people are going to play pitcher more. So I do think you're fine to play Goldschmidt without, like, he's not going to be like 50% owned. But still, even if you're trying to go cheap at pitcher, I mean, he is really expensive. One home run is not going to be worth that salary. I would rather save, like, I like Jose Abreu, like for 32 on FanDuel. I like Varsho and Walker on FanDuel. On DK, I'm more going even cheaper than that. We are going to see Montero chalk on DK, either at first or third. And we also add Andrew Vaughn to the mix on DK, first base eligible. And then I'm extremely interested in Marlins cheap bats everywhere. It's more a DK thing, where Garrett Cooper and Lewin Diaz on DK. FanDuel, like, you can play Grandal in that same sort of dirt cheap situation. So at pretty much every position, my lean is going to be, let me find some random cheap thing so I'm not playing the course chalk. And that's what I like at first, and catcher.
Cool. Squirrel, talk to me, catcher and first base here. What are you looking at today?
Yeah, it's tough to get away from the chalkier guys. But yeah, like Paul Goldschmidt, Rhys Hoskins. If you want to pivot to like Derek Hall with Philadelphia, I think that's on FanDuel. I think that's he's going to go a little bit lower owned just because of the Rhys Hoskins presence. In terms of like value guys, Yuli Gurriel, I think you can potentially go with a Houston stack if you want to get different off of the St. Louis Coors game, and then Garrett Cooper and Lewin Diaz. I think going with Marlins is a reasonable mini stack.
Yeah, no, I like it. It makes sense. Pretty good hitting weather in Philly as well. Thus being said, should we move on to second base? Cheeseisgood.
So this is where we start to run into the ownership issues. Like Nolan Gorman, assuming he's batting near the top of the lineup, is the very mega chalk guy. You do have like direct pivots, basically more or less the same salary with Brendan Rodgers on both sides and Altuve on FanDuel at basically the same price. It's even somewhat interesting to go down to Jimenez, and then on FanDuel, maybe Javi Baez, where he's only 2,600. My lean here is, because I'm not stacking St. Louis as a general rule. I'm fine to play Nolan Gorman and just say, somebody's going to homer. Let me just take the guy who does that. So I'm fine with a chalky play here, but I do like Brendan Rodgers more or less just as much.
Okay. Squirrel, I'll pass the baton over to you.
Sure. I like Jose Altuve as a pivot a lot, because I think that Houston really could put up some runs. I think Altuve is expensive. He can get his points in a lot of different ways. And I mean, he's a guy that can actually break a slate, home run, stolen base, get some runs scored. And I like Houston a lot tonight as a pivot stack, or I guess this afternoon as a pivot stack. And I think Altuve is going to be lower owned than he should be. I agree. Like assuming like Nolan Gorman is in the lineup, he's probably going to be the chalk. But I like Brendan Rodgers as well. I think Colorado is probably going to go somewhat like less owned than they should be. I think it's just like even odds on this game, so both teams have about the same implied run total. But I think St. Louis is going to really draw stronger ownership than Colorado. So I think you can go with Brendan Rodgers as a pivot.
Yeah, speaking about Altuve and Houston, Cole Reagan's pretty good numbers in the minors, 5 innings in the big leagues this year, didn't give up a home run. What are your thoughts on attacking a really young pitching prospect? Well, I guess he's not too young, 24 now, but still like literally 5 big league innings under his belt. Yeah,
like young pitchers never necessarily do as well as like their minor league stats, right? So I like the idea of attacking young pitchers all the time. I mean, it just seems so often, you see highly regarded young prospect comes up, and oh man, he's gonna like strike everybody out, and he doesn't, and he gets blown up in the first inning. And that's the kind of thing you're looking for. Is that you're looking for an outlier score by one of these teams' offenses, and one of the best ways to do that is if a young pitcher just loses it, or like he's ends up tipping his pitches or something, right? The tape shows something after a few big league starts that like isn't going to get picked up in the minor leagues, and like a team like Houston could pick something like that up and take advantage of it.
Yeah, Houston could pick it up and or steal it. Like Houston will find a way to pick it up. Yes, if some team is going to, that's them.
I see what you did there, and we've seen a lot of that. First cup of coffee not go well this year. The kid from the Red Sox got beat up quite a bit. Ethan Small from Milwaukee, couldn't really get in the groove either. So maybe that trend does continue here. I'm going to stop talking and I'll let you guys say more words. Let's go over to third base, Cheese, and tell me what you got.
So the Arenado thing is similar to the Goldschmidt thing, except that you do have Jose Ramirez as a direct pivot that will take some of the ownership there. But again, I think you can spend down one of these guys, anyone who's in the 4K range on FanDuel or the, almost 6K on DraftKings, they're going to need a really big game to be worth it. Just the, 2 for 4 with the solo homer and a single is not going to be worth it. So I am looking at, again, Montero's going to be chalky, but I like the price. In general, I'm pretty torn on the Phillies because Cabrera is super talented. But he could walk himself out of the game in 3 innings. So a guy like Bohm at a discount interests me. Bregman, similar to Altuve, but Bregman is a lot cheaper. I think you can do Ryan McMahon as well. On DK, you're going to notice a thing about me and the cheap Marlins, but Charles LeBlanc is, I believe, a legit prospect. He's definitely legit in my book, and he's minimum salary, so I'm playing him.
Got any LeBlanc in your pool, Squirrel?
I do, yeah. I mean, I like the cheap Marlins bats. I mean, they really allow you to play a lot of high priced guys, and they're getting a good like ballpark upgrade, and they're just super cheap and they can hit. So no reason not to play them. I think Jose Ramirez is the high priced pivot at third base, but I like it. I like Montero. Alex Bregman is probably going to get like almost no ownership, especially on DraftKings where it's 5,000. He's much cheaper on FanDuel. I think it was 3,100. Nobody's going to be playing a $5,000 Alex Bregman, but he is in the lineup. He is facing the young pitcher, and he's in the middle of the lineup. So I think he's worth a consideration in Houston stacks. And maybe Brian Hayes is a real flyer because like the Pirates lineup is not out yet as well, and so like nobody's going to be playing it. The Pirates are facing Merrill Kelly, who's probably going to be the most popular pivot off of the 2 chalkier pitchers in Cease and Valdez. So I think if you're doing 150 or even if you're doing like 15, 20 lineups, I think you should try a Pirate stack.
Cool. Yeah, I like that thought quite a bit. Moving on to shortstop here, we have about 12 minutes before first pitch, so we definitely want to make sure to get some questions, drop them in the YouTube and the Discord. But until then, shortstop, Mr. Cheese, let's go.
Again, pending the St. Louis lineup, I think Paul DeJong will get sort of the Nolan Gorman treatment where he's one of the cheaper-ish St. Louis bats, and the pivots are not as good as they are at other positions. There's also the possibility that Edman ends up at the top of the lineup, in which case he would kind of become the chalk. But either way, the St. Louis guy is the chalk. Rosario on FanDuel is not going to be sneaky just because he's cheap, but I think he will be sneaky on DK. I like Javi Baez. Plesac is the kind of pitcher you want Baez against. Like he'll swing at any nonsense pitch, but Plesac doesn't really throw nonsense pitches. He just throws floaters in the strike zone. So that actually, works well for a guy like Baez. I also will mention that on FanDuel, Charles LeBlanc, what a great name. Does not seem like a baseball player kind of name. He should be an artiste. He's shortstop, second base eligible on FanDuel, which is kind of useful for different lineup builds.
An artiste. Yeah, that sounds about right. I wonder if he goes by Chuck. We'll have to find out.
Chucky the blank. Yeah.
Squirrel, shortstop. What are you thinking here?
A lot of the same guys. I like Ahmed Rosario. I think two guys I have particular interest in that are both shortstop eligible on DraftKings, Corey Seager and Marcus Semien. Like, are both going to be hitting. They both are hitting at the top of the order. They both have power. And if Valdez is probably going to be a very popular pitcher with Houston, it's like they're going to be maybe single-digit ownership, maybe a 1% ownership. And they could, either one of them can hit a home run, maybe even with some guys on base, maybe against the bullpen. So like, I wouldn't be afraid to play those guys, go way overweight them, and even play them against Valdez.
Outfield, we're seeing huge ownership number on Charlie Blackmon via the Bat X, and Tyler O'Neill also over 20% here. Cheese, a lot of options here in the outfield, despite the dumb slate we have.
Yeah. So there's one thing about this slate that is not dumb at all. In fact, it is super fantastic and embarrassing how much I love it. And that would be JJ Bleday, like far and away my favorite play on this slate. Far and away my highest owned player on both sites. I'm very close to 100% JJ Bleday. And that's a weird thing to say out loud, but that's where I'm at. So other than JJ Bleday, I think the chalk cheap guy, again, pending lineup will be Lars Nootbaar on DK, and that's fine. O'Neill and Carlson are pretty easy to get to on FanDuel. Eloy Jimenez on FanDuel is way too cheap. I do like the White Sox a very good bit, but I mostly just like their outfield and Abreu. So playing like Eloy, Vaughn, and Robert in the outfield, I like a lot. And I'm fine with those guys on their own ahead of any of the Coors Field guys. So basically, I'm just not prioritizing Coors Field in the outfield at all.
Okay. Squirrel, thoughts on prioritizing Coors, and then we'll take some questions.
I think the Coors Field guys are going to see some ownership, although it's really the outfield. This isn't necessarily the strength of that game. So I actually like the outfield as a way to get a little bit different. I like Kyle Schwarber. He's got one of the best home run props outside of the Coors Field. I think he actually has the best home run prop outside of Coors Field today. So I think, I like him a lot as a one-off, just because hitting leadoff, he's going to, probably get an extra at-bat, another potential to hit a home run. Like the JJ Bleday call. And Kyle Tucker with Houston. I like the Houston stack, and I probably like Kyle Tucker the best out of it.
Awesome. Got about 7-ish minutes here. I'm going to start with some questions in the Discord, and I'll throw it over to you first, Cheese. For DKGPP, is it okay to only have Cease, Valdez, and Kelly in my pitcher pool with an occasional pivot to Cabrera?
That is certainly acceptable to me. Yeah.
Okay. Squirrel, QQ, how do you feel about cheap Marlins in DK cash?
Definitely, yeah. Like JJ Bleday should not be 2,100. Like Garrett Cooper's 2,200. Like they're extremely cheap. They make everything else work. Like Charles Blanc 2,000. I fully support it. I don't know why Nick Fortes is 4,700.
Yeah. Hey, Chief.
Yeah, Fortes is priced appropriately on FanDuel where you don't need a catcher, which actually makes me like him a little bit.
Hey, Chief, who is Kerry Carpenter, and should he be considered in a Tiger stack or as a cheap one-off?
Yeah, he's actually looks pretty decent. He had really good plate skills at AAA and had some power, like lower in the minors. He doesn't strike me as a guy who necessarily is going to have power immediately, like JJ Bleday, for example, but is probably a better real life hitter. So I think you definitely want him in Tiger stacks, and I don't think you're crazy to play him on his own.
Cool. Squirrel, QQ for you. FanDuel Large Field GPP, what pitcher is more viable in your opinion, Kelly or Plesac for Large Field GPP?
I'd go with Merrill Kelly.
Okay. Cheese, I'll throw this one over to you. 2v2. McMahon and Jimenez or Montero and Blackmon for
what is that? What does McMahon mean?
I don't know. I'm pulling my best
McMahon,
Roth.
Ryan McMahon.
I'm pulling my best Roth. I'm filling in. I don't know anything about weather, but I can butch names, okay?
I'm going to say Ryan McMahon with Eloy Jimenez would be my choice there.
You'd think I don't even follow baseball with some of the crap.
I love that. That's my new favorite name.
You're welcome. It's not Yasmer Doodle?
Not anymore. Wow. Jasper Dubowski has been replaced.
I think I'm honored. Anyway, I'll stop talking. DK Cash, Squirrel, Goldie and Blade, or my favorite name. And hold on, we're missing a name here from. And Carl. Yeah,
it's going to be Goldie and Blade.
No questions asked. Okay, cool. I'm going to move over to the YouTube channel real quick here. I know we got a couple in there. What are your thoughts on Detroit today, Squirrel, from our guy Eric in YouTube?
I think like every team is viable. They're towards the bottom of the list, but I think it's fine. Like if you're doing 150, like absolutely have some Detroit stacks. Like even have a handful.
Cool. Okay. So our guy Don Yeezy, same game. Thoughts on Cleveland Detroit game? Weather Edge has a fire emoji next to it. So what are your thoughts on the weather there? Cheese, is that bump Detroit Cleveland up at all in your hierarchy?
I mean, I really like Cleveland a lot. And I think other than Ramirez, they'll go pretty overlooked. They're one of my more favorite stacks on the slate. And we'll toss in the occasional Detroit bat.
Okay. A question from John in the YouTube chat. Squirrel, I'll throw it over to you. What are your thoughts on starting Cease and Reagan and loading up with 4 top-tier bats?
That's a reasonable way to get different. Because I think you still got the upside with Cease. I'm not going to be playing a ton of Cole Reagans, but that gives you the salary to do whatever you want. And if he has a good game, then you're probably having a combination of bats that other people can't afford.
Okay, I'm going to jump back into the Discord for 1 second. Cheese for DKGPP. Which top pitcher would you stack against between Cease, Valdez, and Kelly?
So that's an interesting one that I was thinking about. I didn't actually end up full stacking against any of them. The pitcher skill set I'd most want to stack against is Merrill Kelly. But the team I would most want to stack is the Royals. So officially, again, I didn't do a single one of those. But I would say with salary considered, I would probably just go ahead and do the Royals. I like the talent on the team, and maybe Cease just finally has the day where it all falls apart.
Okay. Got 2 minutes here. I'll try to be quick here. Underrated stack you like better, Guardians or Tigers on FanDuel, Squirrel?
It's definitely Cleveland.
Okay.
On a day where salary is super tight, sometimes Detroit stacks are in a good position, but I think today you want to play like Jose Ramirez and Cleveland over Detroit.
Okay. And we're 2 minutes before lock, guys, so make sure you hit save or submit or whatever you have to do. Cheese, we'll try to get through these. A couple more real quick. Nuke Bar or Blade? I feel like you're going to tell me Blade.
I like Blade, yeah.
Okay. Thoughts on Texas, Squirrel? Any love for the Rangers? I know you mentioned a couple of them.
I mean, so they have the lowest implied run total on the boards. I think if you're playing a bunch of lineups, if you're playing 20, sure, throw in a Texas stack, and they're going to be really low owned. And I don't think that there's any team that's off the board. I maybe like the idea of playing a 2-man mini stack of Texas more than playing a full stack, because I think Semien and Seager.
Cool. Sorry, Squirrel. We'll get this one in. Last one in at the buzzer from Jay Sams. Cheese, who are your favorite Marlins outside of Blade on FanDuel?
On FanDuel, it's LeBlanc is next, Cooper, and then Diaz.
Okay. Since we have a minute and I don't see any other questions. Squirrel, any other favorite Marlins of yours?
Not really. but I think we've mentioned almost all of them. So.
Perfect. I like Blade because I don't know if you guys saw the clips or the highlights, but his family was in Philly flipping all the Phillies fans off. So that made me happy when he homered. I don't know. It made me laugh. So I hope he goes deep again. And I know some of our guys on Scores and Odds were on him as well. The books haven't caught up to his talent with the odds they're given for his home run odds. So we'll see if Blade does it again. 105, we just hit lock on what turned out to be an amazing slate after Cheese found out there's 2 preseason football games today that everybody is excited for.
That really made my day, honestly. When I heard people talking to preseason football slate, like I assumed that meant an actual slate, and then that's yes. I'm just gonna laugh all day about that, and I hope one of you wins.
Well, I'm not playing, so
one of you, as to somebody who's watching.
Perfect. I'm wearing my Ravens purple as like a reverse jinx. Not that I care if anybody wins or loses today. I just hope nobody gets hurt. I guess that's it. You guys have any closing thoughts before we get out of here, Squirrel?
No, just monitor the lineups. I think we're still waiting on 2 lineups out of 12 teams. That's somewhat significant, and especially with the Cardinals playing in cores. Could shake things up if things don't go as expected.
Cool. Cheese, any parting words for today?
That's really the big thing. Like, the fact that we don't have a Cardinals lineup at lock does leave open the possibility that something funky happens and you can get a low-owned Cardinal stack all of a sudden if it gets shuffled around. So, don't forget about that one.
Cool. Well, for producer Devin, I think, who's producing, I don't even know who's in here. It's weird when you jump in late and sometimes you don't know. I think it's Devin, if not potentially Steve. We appreciate both of you. So for Squirrel and Cheese, I'm TheLuuch. Have a good day, everybody, and thanks.